In the last episode, we witnessed the tactical masterpiece at Walaja. We saw Khalid bin Walid execute a double envelopment that military historians compare to Hannibal at Cannae. The army of Anbar was not just defeated, it was devoured. But war is like a hydra. You cut off one head and two more appear. The survivors of Walaja fled. They did not run to the capital, they ran to their kinsmen. They ran to the Christian Arab tribes living along the Euphrates. These tribes were not fighting for the Persian emperor anymore. They were fighting for blood revenge. They gathered at Ullais, and from the capital, Ctesiphon, the empire sent yet another army, a massive force led by a general named Jaban. Khalid had defeated arrogance at Chains. He had defeated wealth at the river. He had defeated strategy at Walaja. Now he would have to defeat something far more dangerous: hatred. Welcome to the Battle of Ullais. Welcome to the River of Blood. May 633. The survivors of Walaja brought horror stories to the Christian Arab tribes of the Bani Bakr. They told of a man who fought like a demon. The tribes of the region, the Banu Ejli, the Banu Dual, the Banu Tai, rose in a fury. They gathered at Ullais to wait for the Persian army. They swore they would not stop until the invaders were driven back into the desert. The Persian court was in chaos. The emperor Ardashir is dying. The legendary marshal Bahman was effectively running the empire. Bahman raised a massive army, but he could not lead it himself. He had to stay at the dying emperor's bedside. So he appointed Jaban to lead the imperial forces. Jaban was a survivor. His orders were simple: link up with the Christian Arabs at Ullais and stop Khalid. Jaban arrived at Ullais to find a massive, chaotic gathering. He took command. He had the numbers. Historians estimate the combined force at over 70,000. He deployed his army with their backs to the river. It was the same mistake Qarin had made, but Jaban had a different logic. He believed the river would force his men to fight to the death because there was nowhere to run. Khalid's scouts informed him of the gathering storm. He knew that if Jaban was given time to organize this massive coalition, the Muslims would be outnumbered and outmaneuvered. Khalid made a decision that defines his style of warfare. He ordered a forced march. The Muslims arrived at Ullais tired, dusty, and hungry. What they saw across the plain made their stomachs rumble. The Persian army was at ease. They had laid out mealcloths. They were about to eat their midday meal. Jaban felt secure. He did not expect the Muslims to attack so soon after a long march. Most commanders would rest their troops. Khalid did the opposite. He saw the enemy unprepared. He saw the psychological impact of interrupting their comfort. He ordered his men, "Attach your baggage, fall in." He launched the attack immediately. It's what military strategists call a pistol-shot attack, firing the moment you draw the weapon without aiming. Pause here. Put yourself in Khalid's saddle. Your men have marched for days. They're exhausted. The enemy is fresh and outnumbers you 3-1. Conventional wisdom says rest, recover, and fight tomorrow. But Khalid attacks now. I want to ask you, is momentum more valuable than physical energy? Would you risk fighting tired to catch the enemy surprised? Let me know your command decision in the comments. Now, let's see the price of this decision. The Battle of Ullais was different from the Battle of Walaja. At Walaja, Khalid won with his mind. At Ullais, he had to win with his hands. There were no flanking maneuvers. The terrain didn't allow it. The river on one side, the Euphrates on the other. It was a frontal collision. The Persians abandoned their meal and drew their weapons. They fought with the desperation of men protecting their last homestead. The Christian Arabs fought with the fury of vengeance. For hours the battle raged. It was a stalemate, a meat grinder. Khalid rode to the front. He sought out the Arab commander, Abdul Aswad, the man who had lost his sons at Walaja. They dueled in the chaos. Khalid killed him, but the line did not break. The Persians held. The sheer weight of their numbers began to push the Muslims back. It was the middle of the afternoon. The heat was suffocating. The Muslims were faltering. For the first time in the campaign, Khalid bin Walid looked at the enemy and realized he might not win.
The sun begins to dip towards the horizon, yet the Persians do not break. The sheer weight of their numbers, backed by the desperation of the Christian Arabs, hold the line. Khalid realizes that tactical brilliance is no longer enough. This battle has become a test of will. If the Muslims break now, they will be pushed into the desert and annihilated. In this moment of supreme crisis, Khalid does something he has never done before. He pulls his horse back from the clash. He raises his hands to the heavens and makes a dark, terrifying pact with the Almighty. He prays, "O Allah, if you give me victory over this army, I vow that I shall not stop killing them until their river runs with their blood." It is not a prayer for mercy. It is a contract of slaughter. Khalid lowers his hands. The calculation is gone from his eyes. Only the executioner remains. He charges back into the fray with a ferocity that terrifies even his own men. He leads the final assault in person. The Muslim army, seeing their commander possessed by a divine fury, finds a second wind. They push forward, screaming, striking, advancing. Finally, the Persian resistance snaps. Jaban loses control. The army turns to flee. Usually, in war, the pursuit is to scatter the enemy. But today, Khalid issues a chilling order to his cavalry. Do not kill them. Bring them back alive. He needs them alive to fulfill his vow. For the next 3 days, the Muslim cavalry hunts down the fugitives. They drag them out of the reeds, pull them from the riverbanks, and herd them back like cattle to the dry bed of a canal known as the river Khasif. Khalid sits by the canal. The prisoners are brought in waves, thousands of them, and there the vow is fulfilled. Rank after rank they are beheaded. Their blood pours onto the ground, but it clots, it does not flow. The earth absorbs it. Khalid is frustrated. His vow is technically unfulfilled. Then Ka'aka bin Amr, the man worth an army, steps forward. He says to Khalid, "The earth will not drink all the blood. If you want it to flow, you must open the dam." Khalid orders the dam upstream to be broken. The water rushes in, washing over the bodies, mixing with the gore. The canal turns into a torrent of red. For miles downstream, the people of the region see the water turn crimson. The vow is kept. To this day, that stream is known as the River of Blood. With the Persian field armies annihilated at Walaja and Ullais, the road to the capital of Arab Iraq, Hira, lies open. Khalid advances. He bypasses the city frontally and enters from the rear. The Persian governor, Qazban, flees. The local Arab chiefs, realizing their protectors are gone, open the gates. But Hira is not just a city of warriors, it is a city of ancient wisdom. Its leader is a man named Abdul Masih, a sage said to be so old he had lived through the eras of multiple kings. Khalid summons him.
What follows is one of the most famous dialogues in history, a clash of the Bedouin sword and the ancient intellect. Khalid asks him, "Where do you come from, Sheikh?" The old man replies, "From the womb of my mother." Khalid frowns. "I mean, where are you right now?" Masih says, "I am standing upon the earth." Khalid asks, "What is war?" The sage replies, "It is a contest of wills." Khalid, impressed by the riddles, asks, "Have you seen war or peace?" Masih replies with a haunting sadness, "I have lived long enough to see the people of this land living in such peace that a woman could travel from here to Syria with a bowl of gold, fearing nothing but God. But now I see only ruin." Khalid offers him the terms, Islam, jizya, tax, or the sword. Masih looks at the young general. He sees the power of a new age rising. He chooses the jizya. He says, "We are not a people of war. We will keep our religion, and you will protect us." Hira surrenders. The capital is taken. Khalid sends the glad tidings to Medina. But as secured, Khalid looks north. He knows that as long as the Persians hold the fortresses along the Euphrates, his flank is exposed. He marches to Anbar, a fortress considered impregnable. It is defended by a Persian governor named Shirzad and a deep, water-filled moat that separates the attackers from the walls. Shirzad is confident. He believes the Arabs, with their lack of siege engines, will be helpless against the moat. He orders his archers to rain arrows down from anyone who approaches the water. But Khalid does not need siege towers. He has something deadlier, the best archers in Arabia. He gathers 1,000 of his sharpest marksmen. He points at the Persian garrison lining the walls and gives a command that is unique in military history. He does not say, "Kill them." He says, "Do not aim for their chests. Aim only for their eyes." 1,000 bows are drawn. 1,000 strings sing at once. In a matter of seconds, a wave of screams erupts from the ramparts. The historians record that on that day, 1,000 eyes were lost. The Persians, terrified and blinded, abandoned the walls. The battle is forever named Dat ul Uyun, the Battle of the Eyes. Pause here. The Persians have abandoned the walls, but the moat is still there. It is too deep to cross, and Khalid has no boats. Khalid's solution was ruthless. He ordered the slaughter of the old and weak camels in his baggage train, and threw them into the moat until they formed a bridge of flesh. I want to ask you, this was a massive sacrifice of logistics and food. Was this a stroke of genius or a waste of valuable resources? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's see what happened when they crossed that bridge. Shirzad surrenders Anbar. Khalid accepts, allowing the Persians to leave without their weapons. But the campaign is not over. Further west lies the oasis of Ain ut-Tamr, the spring of dates. Here, a strange dynamic plays out. The fortress is guarded by a Persian general named Maran, but he is supported by a massive army of Christian Arab tribes, led by a chieftain named Akka bin Qais. Akka is arrogant. He looks at the Persians and says, "Arabs know best how to fight Arabs. Leave Khalid to me." Maran, the Persian, is cynical. He thinks if Akka wins, good. If he loses, the Muslims will be tired, and then I will fight them. So he withdraws his Persian troops into the fort and leaves the Arabs outside to die. Akka lines his men. He expects a traditional duel. He expects the rituals of war. But Khalid has no time for rituals. As soon as Khalid sees Akka organizing his lines, Khalid does not send a champion, he charges. Khalid, accompanied by his elite guard, smashes through the enemy bodyguard. Before the battle has even truly begun, Khalid reaches Akka, drags him from his saddle, and captures him alive with his bare hands. Seeing their leader captured so easily, the Arab army collapses without a fight. They flee. The Persians inside the fort, seeing this, lose heart and surrender. It is a victory of pure psychological dominance. The battle is over. Akka is executed for his treason. But as the Muslims search the fortress of Ain-ut-Tamr, they find a locked door in a monastery. They break it open. Inside, they find 40 young men. They are Arabs, but their heads are shaven in the manner of monks. They are students of the gospel. The soldiers ask them, "Who are you?" They reply, "We are hostages of God," meaning they have dedicated their lives to religious seclusion. Khalid orders them to be treated well, but they are taken as captives to Medina. This moment seems insignificant, just 40 students. But history works in strange ways. These 40 hostages are distributed among the households of Medina. They convert to Islam, and from their loins come some of the greatest giants of Islamic history. One of them is the ancestor of Ibn Ishaq, the man who wrote the first biography, Sirah, of the Prophet Muhammad. Another is the ancestor of Musa bin Nusair, the glorious general who would one day conquer Spain. The conquest of a small desert oasis planted the seeds for the conquest of Europe. Khalid has now cleared the Euphrates, but as he rests his men, a rider arrives from the south. He is covered in dust. He brings a desperate plea. A Muslim army is trapped in the deserts of Arabia. They are surrounded. If Khalid does not come, they are dead. The sword of Allah must make a U-turn. Next time, the rescue, the Battle of Dumat al-Jandal, and the return of the false prophets. Subscribe to the House of Wisdom. The Desert War is not over.